We're gonna go quickly on our next two presentations because we are going to end on time. We are definitely going to end on time. We're going to break this up into 4 presentations. The first is the housing element. The housing element is part of the city's general plan. This is not our thing, this is the city's thing. And the general plan includes the housing element. The general plan, as well as the housing element, is for 8 years. So you have a plan for 8 years and see where it goes. Okay, this housing element for the 6th cycle, so this is the 6th time they've done it, so they've been doing it for 48 years, is different, because everyone knows it's different. Because the state has mandated to all of the counties, and the counties to all the cities, how much of housing you need to build. Part of that chart over there is like, there's just not enough homes. And on top of it, there's not enough affordable housing homes, affordable homes. So Arcadia is slotted to create 3,214 residents in the next 8 years. Can you imagine what that's going to change? This is official city business. Okay, so the above moderate income, Arcadia excels at. We are really good at this part. Okay, moderate income maybe, but the low, very low income and low income, not so much. And basically we're at 0. So this is where we need to really work on. And so all these numbers come from median family income. I'm going to give you a quick demo of what median income is. I'm just going to use this little chart. So there's 2 things. There could be average or the mean. Average. Oh, that's average. And then median. Okay? So if you have somebody who has $1 million and then a bunch of guys over here, down here, the average is there. It's floating in space. Okay? But if you have one guy or a couple making $1 million, the median, I should put 5 over here. That'll make it easier. The median is this one right there. Okay? So it's average sometimes is good, but median means it's a real number. It's a real number. It's the middle of all the numbers. Okay, so when the median income, when we're talking about median income, we're talking about all of Los Angeles County. All of Los Angeles County for a family of 4, the median income is $77,000. So very low is calculated as 50%. So that's 38,000. You have to make 38,000. If you're above it, you're not considered very low income. But if you are very low income, we are going to build housing for you. In fact, 1,000 plus units in the next 8 years. That's Arcadia's responsibility. Arcadia's going to try. Okay, that's why we advocate for that. We keep telling City Council, continue forward. Low income, 500 plus units. Okay, who's going to take a few more slides for us?
Okay, good morning everyone. I'm Kun Nguyen, so I know Wyatt because I was his soccer coach. I was involved in the community. We moved to Arcadia in 1999 because of the quality of the school district, and then I also served 3 terms on the Arcadia School Board. But we're here to tell you more about the RENA numbers and what we have. So what Mike shared was this is an 8-year plan, but the data keeps on moving because the city has resubmitted 4 times to HCD, Housing Community Development Authority, and the current number, and I'll put my notes in the back table so you can take a picture of it afterwards, has changed. So there's been an increase in these areas. So like for the first item, the downtown mixed use, so that is items 5-7 and 5-8 in the implementation plan that's posted on the city's website. That number is 352 now. The next number corresponds to the mixed-use development is item 5-9 in the implementation plan, and the current number is 131. Moving down to the live oak, and so in the implementation plan, it's both the live oak and the Las Tunas residential flex overlay. For the live oak, it's 164. For Las Tunas, it's 58. I mean, combined, it's 222. For the zones C and G, the commercial and residential flex overlay, that number is now, that corresponds to implementation plan item 5-12, and it's 224. And the R3 up zone is item 5-13 in the implementation plan. It's 165. And the last item is that the city has a plan to redevelop the golf course, but it's all part of this submittal in the housing element to the state. If that project materializes, 80 units will be made affordable for families with very low or low income. So the potential is actually a little bit more than the previous slide. It is 1,174. But overall, combining the moderate income, above moderate income, the total is actually a lot more. It's almost 4,400 units that we built. But the city's not tasked with building these houses, developers are doing it. So the city, per the building owner, is making a budget. 20% of all the development has to be made available for low and moderate income people. Very low and low income families. The target, that's an aspirational target, right? And then that's part of the jurisdictional requirement as the developer comes in to get permits for the city. And then through time, and hopefully in 8 years, they can get to that number, but that's the target. Whether the developers come, and right now with interest rates going up and the escalation in materials because of COVID, the cost to deliver a commercial or residential development project has increased from 50 to 70%. Last time you went to the Home Depot to buy a stick of 2x4, it's twice as much as it was a couple of years ago. All right, so the cost for material, the cost for labor, whether these units get built or not, only time will tell. Can you finish that? So this is just an overview. Some people are visual. All the numbers I cited to you, those are the proposed locations. So, and then it shows you what districts they're in. So like the downtown mixed use, that was the first strategy. The second item is the mixed use development. So both the Live Oak and Las Tunas area. And then the item 3, Las Tunas and Live Oak here and here. So those are the units. I'll just refer it back. So Las Tunas and Live Oak, you're looking at 222 available units. That's the green area. And then kind of like lime green, the CG overlay. That there, again, is 224. And then with the up zone, you're looking at 165. And then the golf course is down here. And so it's a plan, but for that development to happen, the city would still, so on paper, it's a proposal. If Arcadius also has a shortage of open space, so there's a lot of, it's gonna be, the challenge that we had with tiny homes is only a fraction of what you're gonna get if the golf course is taken away for residential development because of noise, truck traffic, air quality impact to construction. But the people who are advocates for open space, they're not gonna just roll over and let that project happen. The city will still have to undertake those studies and an environmental document to comply with the California Environmental Quality Act. So it's a proposal, it may or may not happen, and within 8 years, who knows, with time, it's a combination of timing and opportunity. If there's a will, if our newly elected, so we hypothetically are gonna have 3 new city council members. Hopefully Mike will be one of them, right? But there will be an onboarding period. So this is not gonna be the top of their agenda. It's gonna take time for them to learn that is their legal obligation to guide the city and approve the budget and set direction for the city, but they have to advocate for it. And the direction that the city manager gets comes from the city council. So our job is to raise awareness, do what our Mike and other members of CHOA are doing, speak up make public comments in support of the project or housing development at the city council meetings. Thank you.
I think you could.
I'll put this at the back table so you get more pictures.
This housing element keeps changing. It's changed 6 times, and it's combined 500 pages. So if you're brave and want to learn, I put some websites on there.
It's also on the city's website. But you can't highlight a digital copy, so.
It's intense, but it's worth it. This is not talked about very much because everyone's against temporary housing for unhoused folks. This is a bigger project, way bigger. This is like First Avenue, by the way. There's a lot of churches right there. What's happening is the city is very smart in a way because we're going to do these residential are going to be mixed use, commercial on the bottom, residential on top. If you look at Monrovia, about the Myrtle place, why it's so booming, because basically they just put customers right where their work is, right where their businesses are. It's going to start, especially like Foothill Avenue, revitalize that area. So that the city is kind of looking at it both ways, not just residential, but we're going to up our sales and then city-like sales tax, right?
So that term is called transportation-oriented development. That's what's happening also in Arcadia along First Avenue corridor.
And there's a lot of churches on First Avenue. One of them right here. So if you want to learn more, go to arcadia.ca.gov.housing. All right, and we're working, the city is working, like Kun said, with so California Department of Housing and Community Development. I just didn't have room, I know how to spell it. The deadline is October 15th. So the deadline has passed. So we're in a gray area right now. So we have gone back and forth twice, which HCD, okay? So a lot of cities are in the same boat. Only 10% are adopted on their housing. So all the cities are still working with the state to get certified. Question?
Just curious, what happens if they continue to reject our proposals or whatever?
We're in a gray area. Yeah, so what the state can...
I can answer
Go
that.
ahead.
Because we talked about it a couple of days ago. They have rejected they haven't certified us. If we are uncertified, there's this thing called the builder's remedy. And the builders at that point can come in and ignore community standards and things as long as they adhere to the affordable amount of their housing. So, for example, since there isn't any real plan in place, and this is where we're trying to figure out, we've done everything we can. The last time that they sent something back, they changed one word on one page. And they said, oh, we can't certify because this word is, and it was like, it's ridiculous. And they were so slow at doing the back and forth that we missed the October 15th thing because we didn't get things back from them in time. And as was said, 10% of the cities have theirs adopted. The other, I think there were at least 150 out of 180 that have not had that. But the issue for the city is a developer, if there's nothing in place and we haven't had the certification, they can come in and say, I'm going to put in a 12-story high-rise here, and as long as I have 20%, I can use whatever design I want. It doesn't have to fit the city. We don't care about really the resources so much in the city, and that's something that's a real concern.
So the state can come in and do that?
The developer can come in.
Private developer can come in and say, you don't have anything on the books that prevents me from building whatever I want. I'm gonna build it, and I'm gonna, I own this property, and I'm gonna build it here, fit, it doesn't have to, because, so we're concerned, we're very concerned about that right now. And,
Yeah, the city gives up their authority to have a jurisdictional influence, and the other aspect of it is, you know, the city is also working very aggressively to meet the standards, because if not, when state funding or grants become available, the city will not qualify because they'll have one of the prerequisites is your housing element approved, and if it's no, don't even consider applying, and that's lost revenue for future or other public infrastructure and community benefit projects.
I'm gonna move us along, but this is great, thank you for the question, and I should have said, if you have a question, stop us, this is the time to talk. We're talking, CHOA is talking to the Planning Service Department, those 3 times, we're trying to schedule another meeting. Okay, I'm gonna go quickly over the next slide. The inclusionary ordinance, basically what Kurt is talking about, this 20%, so if anyone, the developer comes in and says, I wanna build something large, we want a law, basically an ordinance saying, okay, but 20% has to be affordable housing. Those 2 very low and low income brackets, 20% have to be that. That 20% is still gonna be under study. So it may be 18, it may be 17, maybe 15. That'll be more than 0, right? That's what we want. And there's no way the city's gonna allow 0, because they know they're under some pressure to build affordable housing. And what we're saying is, Arcadia, my kids do not live in Arcadia. They are UC graduates, UC California graduates. They're not bums. They're gonna have a good salary. They still can't afford to live in Arcadia. Okay, so the only option is to move out of Arcadia. And even further you go down that income level, even people have to move out of California. What we want is not only just affordable housing, because you live where you work, isn't that awesome? Pollution goes down, your quality of life goes up. There's a lot of reasons why we want folks to have affordable housing. Last questions before we move to the next presentation.
real quick on the bottom, it says in Section 8, the people that have Section 8 vouchers, they have Section 8 vouchers for $1,900 a month, and they can't find anywhere to go, other than going very far east. You have to go very far east. Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's clear that that RENA number that keeps popping up, all like affordable housing, that is not like something that's set in stone. So it's, the city has to create the opportunity for those units to be built. So our main job, I think, is to try to advocate to get as many of those built as possible. That's why I got involved, because I saw that number and I went, whoa, that's great. But it takes people like us to advocate and to put that, like you said, the inclusionary, what is it that you just went back to?
Ordinance.
The ordinance,
Mhm.
that's something that's not there yet. So CHOA wants to push the city to put something in the city charter that's permanent, that we know is gonna be there for future. So I just wanted to clear that up a little bit in case it wasn't clear.
Thank you, Sonia. If you're not clear, you got the
So
copy
this number
of
is the
the charts
opportunity.
in your
It's
packet.
not something that's gonna happen, it's the opportunity. So our job is to try and get as much as it is to like push.
Okay, we've got about 12 minutes to do the next presentation, and we're gonna do that, so we're gonna go quickly. Okay. Affordable housing's on this side, actually. Unhoused folks are on this side. There's a massive gap, okay? And they have to, if they're gonna get affordable housing, you need income. You just do. Because you wanna buy a condo, you're gonna get rent, you have to have a good credit score, credit history, all that stuff. So on the other side, CHOA is working on short-term solutions for the unhoused. What we can possibly do, okay? Some of it is we don't have to do anything. Sometimes you just have to stand there and be ready. And one of them is this homeless stakeholders group. The city is putting that together. As City Councilman Mike Danielson said, the Park and Rec group is working on that. 2 of us are on this stakeholders group, myself and Wendy, she's gonna talk very soon. I'm just like a information conduit. I can't go to the meetings. But this group is large, there's 27 people on there. We have homeless or housing navigators, case managers basically. We have the fire and police. We have the hospital in there. We have many residents, school board is on there. Everyone is understanding the same situation and working together. So let's just see how it starts. The first meeting was a couple weeks ago. So it's gonna be fascinating how that works. If you want to be on this group, you say, I have time on Wednesday from 3 to 5, I work, I can. I want to be part of that group. Maybe in a couple months, people bow out, people could maybe join in. We're thinking also reviving the resource hub. I don't know if you know about the resource hub. It basically was in the summer on Thursdays from 9 to 3 at the Arcadia 3 parking lot, and it provided for the unhoused showers, light medical assistance, case management, and the like. We're thinking maybe a church would want to revive it because nobody around that area wants it again in the par 3 golf course anymore. But if a church wants to do it in your parking lot, what you need is electricity, water, and sewer hookup. And it's going to be Thursday from 9 to 3. It'll be fascinating. Fascinating if the church wants to do that. The city is not asking for it, but CHOA is kind of probing, kind of like, how can you be part of this? The church sets up and we can talk about that. That would be massive. Okay. Wendy is going to talk about the list of services which are printed here in your packet.
So, let me first briefly introduce myself. I'm Wendy McGrail. I live in unincorporated Arcadia. I've been there for over 35 years, very close to the Arcadia Friends Church down the corner. And my faith community is in Temple City. So I very briefly got involved with this group and met Mike because of the resource hub, which was right outside my door. In Temple City, I just want to let you know that as part of my faith community, we have a Temple City Coalition, which is also struggling to provide some of the same advocacy and services that this group here in Arcadia is. So, although our goal obviously is to get people housed, we don't want our neighbors to be unsheltered, living on the streets. We want to get them into housing. We also know that in the short term, we need to be compassionate and provide resources for them. That's what we do. So to that end, we put together, and it's in your packet as Mike said, a resource list. This is what we know of, places they can go to get a hot meal or to get sandwiches. That's on the first page. The second page is food pantries, and I know we're going to be having a presentation from Post Church in a few minutes so they can inform us of their amazing operation over there. There are also a few places in the area, not in Arcadia right now, where people can go to get showers, and that is a really, really big need. Now, Foothill Unity Center, which, by the way, Foothill Unity Center, although they're in Monrovia and in Pasadena, they are wonderful friends of this group and are very supportive of what we do. Also in Pasadena at Knox Presbyterian Church, they have showers as well. Again, it points to the need to something like a resource hub where there were showers available, there was laundry available, there was Wi-Fi available, as well as other services such as medic and links to housing and employment. So I know that La Plata is doing some of that currently, but if there is a way that we could get something like this going, then there would be a dedicated place where people could come weekly to get all of those kinds of services. So, the last thing I want to say about this list is that it is fluid. We don't have all of the information. If you hear of another resource that should go onto the list, we'll be happy to update it. If there are changes to this list, things change, hours change, days change, things open, things close. We want to keep this updated. Right now it resides on our website, and so we can update it, and Mike will replace the old one with the new one. So keep us posted in terms of what you hear, what you know, so that we can keep our list updated. And lastly, for any faith communities or any of your agencies or organizations, we encourage you, print the list or have it available electronically for those people that you serve, because we really want to get this to people who can use the services. So that's it. Questions?
For certain faith communities where spiritual care seems to be prominent in what they feel like they can offer, what in this list might be ways that are models for what they do in the community?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, and I do know that some of these listings here, Stephen Boy includes spiritual, they talk about faith, and then they also have some spiritual counseling. Carolyn does some wonderful work in that area as well, and her, you are...
I don't think we're on here actually.
I thought you were. And if you're not, then we need to add you. So, okay. So make sure you give me that information again, and we'll update this. Make sure that you are there as well. So, for example, Arcadia Eisenhower Park, this is Stephen Boy. It says food followed by a prayer service. So if there is a faith component, we'll put it on here. And I think that any of those that include a faith component, it wouldn't be something that was forced on people. It would be whether or not they want to participate, and that they're not going to be denied the other services, the food or the showers or whatever, if they didn't participate in that aspect. So, yeah. All right, thank you.